Hello everyone, I am Marianne Joyce Alejaga from BSIT 2A. I will discuss about negotiating process in the context of BPO. The first topic is the fundamental model of negotiation. Let's start with understanding what is negotiation. Negotiation is a process of searching of an agreement that satisfied all parties. What this means is two things. Firstly, the negotiation is trying to produce something that is fair for all sides so you don't need to feel bad about it. And secondly, because negotiation is a process, it means that if you follow the steps in the process, you will get a predictable result. The first stage is the preparation stage. In the preparation and planning stage, you need to determine and clarify your own goals in the negotiation. Begin with the end in mind by Stephen R. Covey. It is worked very well as advice of preparation state of negotiation. Begin with the end in mind. Think about what you want to achieve, the outcome you're looking for, and the first thing is to really focus in the preparation stage is the whole goal of your negotiation. What is it that you want? Once you know what you want your goal is it's time to think about your objectives. What are the measures of a successful outcome for you? And we can think of objectives of negotiation in terms of three things. Is there what you want to get, all the things you want to have as a result of negotiation? And secondly, there's how much you are prepared to exchange for these. And the third thing is the conditions. The conditions you're prepared to accept from the effectively doing is starting the agreement for the negotiation is some detail. The opening stage. The opening stage of the negotiation is where the parties first come together. It sets up the shared basis of negotiation to come. There are 7 things you need to cover in the opening stage of negotiation. The order I suggest is ideal. You can always achieve this, but you don't need to cover off all 7. First, make a strong first impression. Second, build rapport. Third, check the level of authority and have to make commitments and deliver a final agreement. Fourth, agree the basis of meeting the decision process. Fifth, agree any admin and ground rules. A. Timings. B. Agenda. 6. Establish their outcome. 7. Set out your outcome. It's the opening that creates the joint basis of negotiation. It settles some of the key things that both parties need to know before they can confidently move into the bargaining stage. Next, the bargaining stage. The bargaining stage is the third step in the basic negotiation process. The bargaining stage is the part of negotiation that people usually think of when they describe what negotiating is. It's where the two parties actively look for agreement. Bargaining is where the give and take happens. If you think success means all take and no give, you won't capture real value. You make and manage your concessions in bargaining. When you give a take and that which satisfied both parties' interests, you will build a lasting relationship and a fruit outcome. During the bargaining stage, you continue to create value and with traders, finally capture value. To be trusted, you must be generous. Bargaining stage with the buyer and seller of a goods and services debate the price and exact nature of a transaction. In the bargaining produce agreement on the terms of transaction take notes. Bargaining is an alternative pricing strategy to fix prices. Next is negotiating team rules. They build relationship with individuals in the opposing team and may through this gain useful pieces of information. They also act to intervene when there is conflict between personalities and can act as mediator or other supporting rules. When you are negotiating, it's often a good idea to have a team around you. This may be one colleague or it may be more than one colleague, but team negotiating has a huge advantage. The essential characteristic of a successful negotiating team is unity. You have to work together as one coherent whole. This needs a clear briefing that sets out your goal, strategy, and the negotiating team rules each person will play. Basic team rules in negotiation. Lead negotiator authorized to do a deal and proceed to a specific stage. Note taker, observers, and advisor. The advantage of team negotiation that you don't have to do everything yourself. You've got someone else who could do take notes. You've got someone else who can observe the nonverbal signals. For the other parties are giving off that might give clues. You've got someone who can do the research quickly when you need the fact. The important thing about any team negotiation is that the team works as a coherent whole. Everyone knows the part they're going to play. Everyone understands the goals, the objectives of negotiation, and the agenda of your organization. What this means is the team work together on the preparations and, and there must be a clear briefing so that everybody fully understands in every aspect. Next is the closing stage. The closing phase of negotiation represents the opportunity to capitalize on the work done in the earlier phases. The research has been done in the preparation phases combined with all the information that has been gained is useful in the closing phases. The closing stage is the fourth step in the basic negotiation process. People fear closing stage of negotiation process. They say, what if they say no and it all breaks down? The truth is, if you do it right, closing makes you yes more likely and any no will be a step along the way to ironing out problems. The closing stage of your negotiation is all about moving from almost there to a firm agreement. The road to closing, summary, check issues covered, check concessions agree, ask what more, trial close, make the offer, confirm and record the decisions. Closing phases of the negotiation represent the opportunity to capitalize on all the work done in the earlier phases. Next is negotiating follow-up. The follow-up step is the sixth step that follows the fourth step of the basic negotiation process. You may have closed your negotiation but it's not completely done. You must always carry out of the follow-up action. If you don't, all of your negotiating effort could go to waste. So I'll take you through the basis of what you need to do to properly follow up on your negotiation. We'll see what to do after the deal is done. Here are the 6 follow-up tasks to do after the deal is done and you have concluded your negotiation. First, document agreement in writing. Share it as a fact, not consultation, to confirm our agreement. Carry out any agreed action. Inform people who need to know. Courtesy things to all those involved on your side. And lastly, send a polite note to your counterpart. The ultimate follow-up to any negotiation is to build relationship further so that the next negotiation is even more fruitful and even easier to carry out. The next topic is the important consideration in negotiating outsourcing contracts with the Philippine service providers. Compliance with laws. There are some areas of the world where the process of outsourcing that can be more challenging. Logically, you would want an outsourcing partner in a country where the government provides adequate support for the industry. The Philippines, for instance, provides initiatives and benefits to companies that outsource to the country, as well as the employees. However, there is some nitty-gritty like taxes, lease, payroll, and more. Hiring through an outsourcing company lets you work through all legalities seamlessly. The Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, of the Philippines has undertaken initiatives to strengthen its labor law compliance system, or LCS. The new LCS promotes a culture of voluntary compliance on general labor and occupational safety and health, or OSH, standards among companies. Through the participation of both workers and employees in the joint assessment and implementation of corrective action plans. A strong labor inspectorate system strengthens labor law compliance and promotes the rights of workers and employees. Here in the Philippines, they're paying taxes. One of the examples of compliance with law, Filipinos paying their taxes. It may help the government fund their projects for economic development. It also the lifeblood of understanding government employees like teachers, contributing your share of the pie greatly help in the development of the Philippines as a whole. Arbitration or litigation. The The Republic of the Philippines has a strong, categorical government policy of promoting alternative modes of dispute resolution, including mediator as arbitration and a government initiative mandate to include arbitration clauses in government contracts. With, with this and the Supreme Court's recent issuance and procedural rules, clarifying and limiting court intervention in disputes with arbitration agreements. Commercial arbitration is gaining ground in the mainstream Philippine dispute resolution arena. In particular, the construction industry in the sector commonly uses arbitration due to the established presence in the Philippines Construction Industry Arbitration Commission, or CIAC, which was created pursuant to Executive Order Number 1008, signed on February 4, 1985. Litigation is the court method of resolving dispute with the judge decide the case. The process of litigation is actually a series of the steps taken to resolve the matter whether through negotiation towards a settled or the trial court, while the arbitration is non-court method, where an independent arbitration is appointed by the parties to make the decisions, which is usually confident and binding. An example of an arbitration will be when two people who are divorcing cannot agree on terms and allow a third party to come into to help them negotiate. Next is the background check. The background checks are typically done after the initial interviews and tests when the applicant becomes a candidate for hire. In the Philippines, background checks are performed either by the company's human resource team or third-party agency. What can employees learn from background check? First, personal data. Basic information like complete name, addresses, and contract details of the candidate is verified during the background check. This is to ensure that each item of information that the applicant provided is true and valid. Second, educational background. An applicant's educational background is easily to exaggerate or falsify. Employers can verify an applicant's transcript of records, college diplomas, and certificate earned by incurring or close check the provided information with the educational institutions listed in the application. Third is the employment history. An applicant may also falsify information regarding their previous job title, salary, and professional experience. A background check will give you accurate data about the candidates, past employers, dates of employment, and actual positions in their previous company. Fourth, character and professional reputation. Character references provide employers with first-hand accounts of how applicants work and how their former colleagues and superiors relate with them. The applicant's references are best utilized by understanding their relationship as former co-workers, which will put impressions the applicant's performance, strengths, and weaknesses into better perspective. Fifth, criminal record. The applicant's criminal history can be cleared or verified by way of National Bureau of Investigation or NBI clearance. This document will provide information of any criminal cases that have reached the regional trial court and municipal trial court. 6. History of drug and substance abuse. Drug tests can either clear an applicant of any illegal drug or substance abuse or alert an employer of a potential risky hire. And lastly, credit history. A thorough background check can also look into an applicant's credit history. This record can indicate how responsible an applicant is when it comes to managing finances, especially when paying debt. Implementing a recruitment scoring system is important for any business, especially one that's setting up in a foreign country. We have expert consultants on board who will conduct thorough background and reference checks, and get all the necessary due diligence done on your current and prospective employees, as well as business partners, vendors, and contractors. Attrition. The attrition rate determines the strength and weaknesses of the country to satisfy the outsourced work based on the workflows and skills. A high attrition rate can mean a country has a saturated workforce for a single skill or problem with by the government support. In the Philippines, the attrition rate is low because Filipinos are capable of handling various jobs. An online business, for example, can outsource digital marketing, graphic design, accounting, customer service, and human resource management. Another thing that affects the attrition is company culture. Poor company culture leads to more costs in the long run, as employees are more likely to leave the company, losses, and having to train the replacement. And then you lose out on the productivity during the ramp up period, as it usually takes a few weeks before new employees reach full productivity levels. Therefore, it's better overall to retain employees, and that's usually done through good company culture, skills training, fair compensation, and more. Attrition offer often refers to the reduction in employees in an organization due to resignation, retirement, and death. And lastly, sensitivity to competitors. The Philippines Business Process Outsourcing or BPO sector is an economic powerhouse and one of the largest white-collar employees in the country. It benefits from over a decade of pro-investment government policies, a young and well-educated workforce, and rising foreign investment in both third-party contract centers and the global in-house call centers. The Philippine BPO industry offers a number of competitive advantages to potential investors, including strong government support in the form of investor initiative and tax holidays. High price sensitivity means the customer will easily reject purchasing your product or services based on price they deem unreasonable for what they be getting for the money. Low price sensitivity means that they are more willing to pay more of the product or services. I hope you enjoy our presentation today. Thank you for watching. God bless you all.